you can go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody who's attending for coming tonight. I know it's a little bit different circumstances than I've been in the past when I've presented about Social Security, and I want to thank Mark for having me back. I did a presentation earlier in the summer, so getting used to the virtual presentations. Hopefully everything goes well. As I mentioned when talking with Mark, if you have any questions, you can certainly type in something if you would like, or feel free to speak up and ask your question during the presentation. That's completely fine with me. I think it's good. There probably will be some questions you have. You don't need to wait to the end. Jump right in and ask, during the presentation. So tonight our topic here, solving the Social Security puzzle, what you need to know before you claim. My name's Ethan Quirin. I'll be presenting tonight. I am a financial advisor, and let's see here, something's flashing. Financial advisor. My firm the name is Financial Dogma. I'm located in Malvern. You can see there is my phone number and my email address. Oh, it's actually Dogma, D-O-G-M-A. I'll have to fix that. I'll have that back again at the end of the presentation. Usually I like to start with any fun facts, although I don't have too many fun facts today. The one number I'll throw out there to see if anyone knows what this number represents, the number 53. Does anyone know what that number represents? Shout it out or type it into the screen. It represents 53 days until Christmas, which is like, with being a father of 2 young children, that's ever present on my mind right now. What I'm sure is ever present on everybody else's mind is this election. If you're like me, I'm hoping that everything can just calm down soon and just we can move past it, move on. Something that I get asked a lot about is how do markets perform? Do I think the market's going to have a problem after the election? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I will say this, the market tends to not like uncertainty. So if there's uncertainty with the election results, that could create some volatility. But one thing that I think everyone should know, and this, I'm not trying to make any political statements here, that historically speaking, for the most part, the market behaves as it behaves regardless of what party is in power. The track record of, not every single administration has the same track record of the market, but when averaged over a long period of time, over multiple administrations, whether it's Republican, whether it's Democrat, the market seems to, they behave and provide returns that are remarkably close. I mean, they're pretty close. And so I think that no matter what happens, we're still going to see growth in the market over a long period of time. But what's important about Social Security and what you probably hear to learn about is that sometimes, when advisors talk about, well, returns, it's over that long period of time. And not everyone has a long period of time, right? So we're starting to think about, okay, well, how can I control and how can I make decisions, because I might be retiring soon and I might be thinking about claiming for Social Security and protecting my assets and getting my retirement income and all of that, and saving myself from the headache and stress that's caused by market volatility, right? One big piece of that is making decisions that you feel comfortable about for Social Security, all right? Okay, here we go. Just let me run through here. Disclaimer. I'll give you a minute here. You can see this. My firm is Next Financial Group. That is the FINRA registered firm that I am affiliated with. Neither Next Financial, Financial Dogma, or Social Security Solutions. We are not affiliated with the Social Security Administration in any way. This tonight's presentation is purely for informational purposes, educational purposes only. It shouldn't be viewed as any kind of individual recommendations for anyone. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, and I'm going to do my best. But I can't give you a definitive answer definitive answer about your situation, you can certainly speak offline about that. Okay. All right. Let's just start with this sort of some broad concepts here. First is that Social Security is definitely not a simple subject. Okay, it does seem simple, like, oh, I'm just going to go in and make a claim, I'm going to get my money, but there certainly are many considerations. Okay, you have your full retirement age. When is that? Should you wait to start claiming at that point? Should you go beyond that, try and get delayed retirement credits? If you are married or you were married for more than 10 years, if you're a widower, do you have any kind of strategy that might allow you to get some more? One of these strategies we want to talk about, restricted application. As I mentioned, marital status. What's your primary insurance amount? What's your primary insurance amount of your record, your spouse's record, or anyone else who you might be able to claim upon? There's all sorts of things here that really play into the optimal strategy for you in your claiming of Social Security. And everyone's optimal strategy is different. It's very easy to just say, I should just delay as long as possible, get the most. For a lot of people, that is the optimal strategy, but it's not for everybody, okay? And there are hundreds or thousands of claiming strategies based on, the different scenarios that are presented by people's lives. So I'm not going to go through all of those. That's not the point. The point tonight is to give awareness to the complexity that can come up with Social Security, and the fact that you really kind of have to make the right decision from the beginning, because even though it seems simple, it's not. Okay, and as we're going to see, all these factors are kind of linked together, and if you don't make the right decision, you could leave literally tens of thousands of dollars on the table, and you really can't go back and undo the decision. Well, it'll come up. I mean, you do have a chance to change your decision once within 12 months, although I'm going to, as we're going to go over, I really don't think it's all that feasible, okay? So it really requires a lot of the right planning, some forethought to go into your decision. All right. So a strategy for Social Security. There are many options that, well, actually, let me take a step back. We think about strategy when we're talking about things like, a chess match or football game or something like where, that's just a common phrase that's thrown around. Not always is it as common to think about a strategy for your Social Security and how you're going to claim for Social Security. But it does require some forethought and thinking about what's the best decision for you and how are you going to get it right, okay? And as I mentioned, you could literally be leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table in those cumulative benefits if you don't make the right decision. And while you do have the chance to reverse courses once within the first 12 months that you make a decision, the reason I say I don't think it's all that practical is that in order to do so, you have to send back all the money that you've received already. Maybe that might be okay within the first month if you haven't cashed, you haven't spent the money. But if you're 6-7 months in and you're getting $1,500, $2,000 a month, well, not that many people are going to have 12 grand or whatever it might be, 8, 9, 10, 12 grand just sort of sitting around. That they're going to be able to send back and say, I changed my mind. I want to make a different decision. All right. So, yeah, you do have the ability to reverse course. I don't know if it's that practical because not many people are going to have that much cash just sitting around and feel comfortable sending it back so that they can make a different decision. So, having a good, sound strategy that's put together by knowing all the facts and having a holistic view of everything is very important, okay? Any questions so far? No?
And feel free to unmute yourselves, folks, to ask your question.
Yeah. All right. So there's pretty much 4 common questions that I get asked the most, all right? And we're going to, and again, these are higher level. They're not going to dig down into particulars of too many people, but these are some bedrock questions that come up. will it be there for me when I'm ready to claim? Will Social Security be enough to live on in retirement? How much will I receive? And how can I maximize my benefits? And these are, like I said, the most common questions. We are going to answer all of them. Okay? And the answers might surprise you. All right. This first one, will Social Security be there for me? Usually this is a very important topic in the election cycle. It hasn't really been, and I'm kind of surprised because Social Security is at a, I don't know if tipping point is a good description, but it is in a critical stage right now for the long-term security of the program. And the trustees report was issued back in April. Now, the trustees report, it showed that there was a slight increase in reserves at the end of June 30th, 2019, okay, which is the fiscal year for the trust fund and the Social Security Administration, right? But it was only like $2 billion. So the $2 billion increase on a nearly $3 trillion fund is minuscule at most. I mean, it's almost inconsequential. Okay. This operating revenues for the trust, for the Social Security trust fund, all right, have been negative. Okay. Basically, the surpluses have been created from interest on the principal that's been in there. Now, in the next year, that's basically going to end. All right. And starting next year, essentially, the trust fund is going to have to start dipping into its principal, start paying out for all the benefits. And under projections that were made at the beginning of the year and issued in, as I said, April, there were a lot of parameters that were decided in December of last year, January of this year, that were used to generate the report. What happened after those parameters were decided? We had everything that surrounding coronavirus. So it is unclear, and it's very important to note that the report that the Social Security Administration put out at the beginning of this year does not include the impact from COVID-19. So we don't really know. These numbers were actuarially sound at the time they put out. However, those are based on information that concluded at the end of the second quarter of last year. There's been a lot of things that have happened, right, since then. And we don't really know what's going to be there. Now, I don't mean to, I don't want to sensationalize this, okay, because I think that's a very popular strategy in the media. Hey, you know, if it draws eyeballs and clicks, that's what the media is there for. They're there to sell content. And so sometimes they sensationalize things. And that's really, you know, sometimes you just have to block that out. All right. And look at some, you know, without the sensational coverage and trying to generate emotions and gear people up about that, just kind of boil it down. You know, the history shows that people who have a very vested interest in this, just typically individuals who are older and who vote more, right, are going to put political pressure on people in power to make sure that their benefits aren't touched. So the last couple of times when major changes needed to be made, the impacts did not occur until down the road, and they didn't occur for people who are over age 60. All right. Where we are now is that after 2034, when the trust fund is depleted, the calculation is that the money coming in from current workers can pay 76% of the scheduled benefits if nothing is done, and that's for like the next 75 years. It's at least projected through 2094. The report was for the next 75 years. So projected through 2094, 76% of scheduled benefits could be paid. All right. Now, I would suspect that most likely it's not going to be 76% across the board. There would be, for younger individuals, the projection would be lower. For people that have already been receiving and who are soon to be receiving, they're going to get their all of their benefits. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know that for certain, but I just think that the political pressure would be too much for people in power who are in power at the time to allow something like that to happen, where people who tend to vote more would be the ones that would be heard right away. So I have a feeling that, like we have seen throughout history, especially in the United States, with big political issues, it's probably going to take a number of years before something happens, until the pressure builds up and there's major action to be done. But I think something will be done. I think, and there's many things that can be done. They can raise the level. Right now, I think that the level of income that it's capped out on taxable earnings is roughly 138,000. I think that could probably be raised. Maybe there's a change in tax rate. I think they could slow down some of the claiming strategies. There's probably some loopholes they can close, move things out. I think they can raise the full retirement age for younger individuals like myself. So I think there's actuarial steps that can be taken that can make the fund more solvent and pushed out for a longer period of time. It's just a matter of political will, and right now it's not there, but I think it will be down the road. So again, not bringing any of this up to scare anyone, just wanted to give you the facts as reported by the Social Security Administration and trustees, and at least until 2034, through 2034, all scheduled benefits will be paid. And then after that is where, there's going to be a shortfall. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So main takeaway, don't overreact to, hype in the media. The historical records show that there will be, I think, action taken, and it will protect people who need the benefits right away.
Ethan, I did have a question.
Sure.
Will your presentation be made available? I'm just trying to figure out how many notes to take.
Yeah, sure. Mark, I can give you the presentation. You can make it available to whoever wants it.
Okay, sure thing. And then this will be up on our YouTube channel as well, the video from tonight.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome. All right. So I think the answer really to will Social Security be enough to live on? Probably not. And I think we're just going to give you some basic numbers to show you why that is the case. Okay. All right. So this comes from the Social Security Administration. Actually, I'm sorry, U.S. Consumer Expenditure Survey from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Okay. I'm going to give you another stat from the Social Security Administration in a moment here. But this is retirement spending for the average retiree, for individuals 65 and older. Okay. These would be considered your core essential expenses. All right. Now, one thing to note here, I'll show you the total in just a moment, but you can see broken down, here's some of these main areas: housing, utilities, transportation, clothing, healthcare, and food. Housing and utilities does not include household operations expenses. Now, that's a broad category in and of itself, but that's things like needing items around the home that are sort of most people would probably say is essential, but maybe you could get away without them. All right. But that's not included in here. What is also not included in here are entertainment expenses. Okay. And again, a lot of people would probably think, well, entertainment, I need to have at least something. I guess we don't really consider it core or critical. That's not included in here either. So this is like your bare bones, basic expenses. And if we look at the cost, the total here is $43,152. All right. And you can see here from 2016. Oh, I'm sorry. It's actually supposed to be 41,000. I apologize there. The other part to note here is that So it's gone up a couple $1,000s over the last several years. Right? It usually does increase from year to year because we have inflation. The other part to know is that typically individuals who are recently retired spend more, and then for the next 5-10 years, and then the spending starts tailing off. Right? And some of that is, maybe your mortgage is paid off a couple years into retirement. Maybe there's not as much travel. Maybe you're not spending as much on, a new car. You're just going to let the car you have, it's paid off, just ride it out. Or you don't need 2 cars. You're not going to be buying as much clothing, things of that nature. Healthcare generally rises. Most other categories start to drop. Okay. So at the time when most people are taking Social Security, they're actually spending a little bit more than this number. Okay. That's an important item to remember. Now, the last couple of years, let's say like the last 2 years, this number has increased roughly in line with cost of living adjustment that the Social Security Administration has given for benefits. However, it doesn't always rise that way. The Social Security Administration takes the Consumer Price Index in the third quarter from the prior year, looks at that, and then decides the cost of living increase. But that is not always reflective of average expenses over a full year. So we can see, even in your Social Security, that does have a cost of living increase, the expense is outpacing the adjustments. And so your dollar is not going quite as far. That can happen. All right. Any other questions? No? Now, so what I want to bring up here is that we said, is Social Security enough to live on? So $43,000 roughly is the average. Of course, this will vary from region to region throughout the United States and from individuals and couples to couples. All right. So again, that is just an average throughout the United States. The Northeast is going to be a little higher than, say, the Southwest. Right. But according to the Social Security Administration, 2020, after cost of living adjustment, all retired workers averaged $1,503 per month. Okay. Couples with both receiving benefits averaged $2,531. Okay, so now if we take $2,531 and multiply it by 12 as a high end, that's $30,360. So just right there, the average couple, both receiving benefits, is still roughly $13,000 short. So heading into retirement, I hope that you've had some money you're putting away, because just thinking, this is more like, hey, if you're talking to people who are 10 years down the road from retirement, and they're thinking, oh, I'm just going to do Social Security, I don't need to put money away. Bad decision. You can see Social Security is not going to cover all of those just basic expenses. All right. So we need to start thinking about, well, how do we maximize Social Security? And then how do we pair it with our other retirement assets that we're going to use to cover our expenses? Okay. How much will my benefit be? And I've said this a couple times, it all depends. It depends on a combination of factors, right? How much you earned over your working lifetime, marital status, when you apply for benefits, many other things, right? So, yeah, how you use the rules to maximize your benefits. The Social Security Administration looks over the average out 35 best earning years of your lifetime, and that's what's used to goes through a calculation. That's what's used to determine your primary insurance amount. Okay, your primary insurance amount is what you can earn at your full retirement age. Now, for people that are born between 1950 and 1954, 66 was that primary insurance, full retirement age, and then it starts increasing by 2 months per year until I don't have it in front of me, after it gets up to age 67. Okay. So it's people born after age 60. It's 67. So you can claim early, and for people who their full retirement age is 66, you're going to be getting about 1/3 more if you wait till age 66 than if you start claiming at 62. Right? Now, as your people who are born after 1954, they're actually going to have this is about quarter less. You're going to have a further reduction because you're farther away. Right? And that delayed retirement credit, which we're going to talk about in a moment, you're going to get less. Right now, people who have a full retirement age of 67, they have about 32% increase that they can see in their monthly benefit if they wait until 70. If their full retirement age is a little less than 67, because the delayed retirement credits are accrue on a monthly basis, they're going to have maybe a slightly more than 32%. But to put this in perspective, I want to give an example of how much these benefits can accrue over a lifetime. I think that's what will be very helpful. Okay. So if we have a little example here, we've got Bill and Sue. At age 66, Bill claims his $1,800 a month retirement benefit. And at age 66, Sue claims her $1,100 a month benefit. Both live for 20 more years. How much would they collect, right? And that's nearly $700,000 in benefits. So here we can really see that when we put it in perspective, Social Security is a massive benefit. You've been paying into the system for a long time, and it will. The thought is you are going to be collecting for a long time, and these will add up. It's a lot of money that you individually and collectively with a spouse can receive over the many years you might be living after you start claiming on your record. Is everyone clear about that math and have any questions so far? No? Okay. So while the $696,000 in benefits sounds pretty good, I want us to keep Bill and Sue in mind. And towards the end of the presentation, we're going to see that we can tweak this scenario and see possibly we can make it even better, how they can get more money out of the system. All right. So as I mentioned, you have this 35 years of earnings, and the index for inflation and average, and that gives you your primary insurance amount. Okay. If everyone has not registered with the Social Security Administration website, I will strongly encourage you to do so. It's a pretty good website, especially I think for government standards. It's intuitive. It is pretty easy to navigate around. The best part is that you can get your statement. You know, the government is required to send you a statement once annually, paper statement once annually, in the mail. Easy to lose, easy to misplace, or just, forget you have it, but you can go online, you can get the information at any moment. The other part is that having that statement is important because you can then review your earnings history. And it's not uncommon. Well, I don't want to say I don't want to make it sound like it's very common, but it is not unheard of to see the Social Security Administration have incorrect earnings in your record. Okay. Now you can't go back forever, and you have to be able to show proof of what your earnings were if they're wrong according to the Social Security Administration. So if you in recent years see that the Social Security Administration has the wrong numbers, you can go and you can get the corrected, especially if there's a zero in there. You don't want to see a zero in there because it could really screw up your average, right? So I really would encourage that if you haven't registered at this website here, ssa.gov, go there, register, find your statement, and look through. Make sure that your earnings history is correct. Okay. Before we go on, any questions? No? All right. Now remember, also, if you're still working, your estimated primary insurance amount is simply that. It is just an estimate, right? So your monthly benefit can increase in a couple of ways. You can continue working, and you might have earnings higher than they estimated in the statement. Okay. Your Social Security is also going to increase after you start claiming because you get a cost of living adjustment. All right. So just keep in mind that the number you see may not always reflect exactly what you get. The flip side could be if you are working now and you believe you're going to continue working, but something happens and you were counting on those last couple of years to be in the 35 highest and it doesn't happen, that could also affect it on the downside. So let's talk about what happens when you file early. Okay, you get a percentage of your full retirement benefit. I mentioned here, if you're born before 1954, you're going to get a percentage, which turns out to be 75% if your full retirement age is 66. Okay, it does work on a monthly basis. Okay, so we start backwards from age 66. It's 0.5% of your primary insurance amount, and then in that final year, it's 5/12% for each month. Okay, so if you file early and it's in the middle of a year, you don't lose a full year, which is good to know when helping you assess what could be the impact of your early filing. Does that make sense for everybody? I know that sometimes this is different than what a lot of people think. They're thinking, oh, I'm going to lose a full year based on where I'm. No, it's actually on a monthly basis, the reduction. Okay. All right. Delayed retirement credits are what you earn when you wait past your full retirement age. And the longest you can wait and earn is until age 70. Okay. So if you have a full retirement age of age 66, you're going to get 32% increase. If it's age 67, the best you can get is 24%. Right. So when you think back to the earlier conversation we had about, is there some way that Social Security can right the ship and make sure that the trust doesn't run out and it can be solvent for a longer period of time? This is one thing they might still keep it at age 70, but raise the full retirement age for younger individuals to 68, or maybe gradually up to 60. In which case, maybe the maximum amount of additional credits people can get would be 60% instead of 24%. I'm sure that has a big actuarial impact on the trust and how much money can be paid out. But the other thing to remember here is that your delayed retirement credits are also accumulated and accrue on a monthly basis. You don't have to go a full year. So if you're thinking, you know what, I want to wait till I'm 1 year past my full retirement age and 6 months in, something happens and you think, oh, why did I wait? That's okay. You still have accrued delayed retirement credits. It may not be the full amount, but it's 4%. Instead of 8%. If you're 2/3 of the way through, it's 2/3 of 8%, 3/4 of the way through, 6%. So you're not penalized because you didn't get that full year. Any other questions? Any questions so far? Okay. Keep moving. So the question is, how can I maximize benefits? And the answer is with a good claiming strategy. We talked about there are hundreds of claiming strategies, and anyway, wonder, well, how can anyone know all these? Well, really, at this point, you kind of have to have good software to analyze all the different factors, put it together, run the scenarios to get the best answer for yourself. But we're talking about a claiming strategy is combining all of these different factors and putting it together to really make a personalized decision, personalized plan. Like I mentioned, for a lot of people, the way to maximize the most out of their benefits would be to wait. Okay, but that's not always the case. And there's always maximizing the amount of benefits may not always be the best for each individual. Okay, so your projected lifespan is a big factor, but also your need for income is another big factor. And so you're going to really combine all of these together and come up with a personalized plan, and that's your optimal claiming strategy. Maximizing is one thing, but being optimal for your situation is another. And sometimes they're not always the same. It can be different. And as I mentioned, if you don't know the rules and you make a decision, you're kind of stuck with it. Yes, you do have the ability within 1 year to change your mind, go back to the Social Security Administration, give them every dime back that they sent to you, and then if you have the ability to return every penny they sent you, you could change your mind. It's within 12 months. If you don't have that ability, you're stuck. And so that's why it is important to, do a little bit of research, speak with somebody who's able to help run the numbers, talk about all the different factors, make a decision that's best for you. Any questions? All right. I just want to mention briefly auxiliary benefits. And this could be another one of those areas where, there might be change. I don't know. Let me see here if there's a question. Okay. I don't know whether or not, there's political will to take away benefits. I think that's always hard. But these auxiliary benefits might be something that could get pared back or, adjusted to make impacts on the margins. Basically, when the Social Security Act was passed back in the 1930s, I forget exactly when, it was to cover for individuals for their retirement. One worker worked, getting paid out of the system the money they put into the system, and all other workers putting money into the system. Since that time, there's been a big expansion of who can claim out of the Social Security system. All right, there are spousal benefits, there are survivor benefits, children's benefits, children in care benefits. It sounds similar, but it's two different. One's paid to the parent, one's paid to the child. And I think that's probably one. It's led to a higher taxation on individuals to create more money in the fund so they can pay out for more of these benefits. But it's probably also put a strain on the system as well. There's so many more factors that have to be put into the calculations and the actuarial calculations to see how long will this system last. All right. I don't want to go over a lot of these, but something to consider is that these are big elements in determining whether or not you have an optimal strategy, because you have all these auxiliary benefits, because you can turn some on, turn some off, restrict them, let them delay and grow. And so it's in that situation where you're playing with those where you can really find that there's a lot of different combinations that lead to an optimal decision. And I'll share with you a story of somebody I helped a couple years ago where, she owned this woman owned her own business for a number of years, and it was a tailoring business, and she was just kind of worn down working with sewing and doing all this stuff for so many years. And her and her husband adopted a child, and she wanted to just stop, but she was afraid that their household wouldn't have enough income if she stopped working. She had equity in the business. I guess she brought in a partner, so she was getting a little bit of payout from that. She was concerned that just based on her own earnings, she wasn't going to be able to get enough out of Social Security to stop working. But when I spoke with her and learned about all the context of her life, and I ran the analysis, well, it turned out that they were able to get children's benefits, child and care benefits, and using certain combinations of claiming strategies, they were able to get the amount of money that they needed so that she could stop working and be around and spend more time with her daughter, her teenage daughter, as she was progressing through high school. And that made all the difference in her decision, just learning about these auxiliary benefits. So they can play a part. So when you should start benefits, as I mentioned, it really is, it all depends. It is a personal decision. And I bring up this idea of maximizing versus optimizing. Maximizing how much you're going to receive over the course of your life, that might be easy to understand conceptually because it's how long do you think you're going to live, and then it's simple. Well, if we start now at this much in this many years versus start later this much this many years, where's the crossing point? But there's a lot more factors. We're not that simple as humans, and we have a lot of different needs to understand. What's our marital status? What's our age? Our health outlook? The longevity I mentioned. Total assets. Do you have a lot of non-qualified assets you could draw upon early on in retirement? And you want to let your qualified assets grow as long as possible until you're required to take them out. What's your need for income? Okay, how much do you want to live on in retirement? If you're okay kind of living the Spartan lifestyle early on, great. And then you want to make sure you can turn it on and have the maximum income later. Then that you're not going to outlive, so that you have something for down the road when you think, oh, I'll drain my retirement assets, and then this is something that I'll have, into the rest of my retirement. Okay, perfect. So, but it's all of those factors that really combine to make a decision as what is optimal. Okay, and we really want to take a look holistically at all of this stuff. Any questions so far? I feel like there's got to be some questions out there. Feel free to chime in.
Ethan, I did have a question on the survivor benefits.
Sure.
Are they limited to the extent, just like your own Social Security, in terms of income earned, if you're not full retirement age?
Yeah, there is a different set of rules, and I don't know them off the top of my head, but typically I think it's if you are a survivor, a widower or a widow, it's age 60 is when you can claim, and I believe that it's you can get full benefits on the record of the deceased person after age 60. You don't have to wait till your full retirement age to claim the survivor benefits.
But the income may still be limited. Is that true if the spouse was not normal retirement age?
No, I mean, it will depend on how much they put into their system right there. If they were, say, 50 when they passed away, and you were also 50, you might have to wait another 10 years. But let's say you're 60 and the spouse was 61 and passed away. Well, you know, the amount that you can claim upon is going to be based on their working record. So is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking about the income limitation that you would have if you continued to work, but were collecting survivor benefits.
Oh, you know, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I do believe that you do not have the same income limitation.
Okay.
But if you would like, I can, you know, I can actually research that. That's a good question.
Yeah, I didn't know if the rules were the same in that regard. Thank you.
Now, just so I should bring this up, in case anyone is not aware, so there is a restriction on when you apply for benefits. There is you can only earn a certain amount of money. And let me see here if I have the amount. There's an earnings threshold. Yes. All right. So when you're under full retirement age and in the year that you claim, 2020, you can only earn $18,240. And then basically, if any dollar over that, half of it is lost in benefits. Okay, so $1 in benefits will be withheld for every $2 in earnings above the limit. So what that means is that if you claim early and you earn, you know, over $18,240, you're going to see a reduction in your benefits. Okay. And so the question was, is that same rule apply when you're collecting survivor benefits? And that I'm just not sure, but I will look it up.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions that are people have? All right. I just want to finish writing down this question that was asked. Okay, so here's where we're talking about these two criterion where we're talking about really maximization and optimization. And maximization is sort of like a dollars number, how do we get the highest dollars. Optimization I really see as non-dollar questions, minimizing longevity risk, minimizing, which is outliving your retirement savings, minimizing a cash shortage early in retirement. If you have funds that need to be that need to say, maybe you have restricted stock or something like that, you can't sell until later, right? So the optimization question is a little bit more non-financial. There's a question here from Jamie. Says your slide mentioned assets, so if sale of a house is in the plan, sell the house before or after applying for benefits. So if that question is with respect to the earnings threshold, we're talking about earned income, and there's not an asset threshold for anything that's going to reduce your benefits. Hopefully that's what you were asking. So if you're going to sell your house, you don't have to worry about applying for Social Security having any part as to when you want to sell your house. It's really what we're really talking about is the earnings threshold as to when you might have a reduction in benefits. So Jamie, let me know if you have any other questions, if that, okay, looks like I answered it. Good. All right, so spousal benefit is based on 50% of the other spouse's primary insurance amount, okay? Now, as you can see here, as a spouse of an insured worker, you're eligible to receive your spouse's insurance benefit if you meet the conditions below. Spouse has filed for retirement benefits. You're not receiving a benefit based on a primary insurance amount which equals or exceeds 1/2 of your spouse's primary insurance amount. Okay, you have filed an application for spousal benefits and you're over age 62. What this means is that you don't get this in addition to what you have. It basically is something that can bring you up to 50% of what your spouse earns. It can replace yours, in which case you can actually, as a claiming strategy, turn yours off, allow it to grow, and claim a spousal benefit. That's a common strategy. Okay. Here's an example. You see on the left-hand side, and again, this is just his and her was just used. And it's not trying to make any statement or anything like that. But if we just assume husband's primary insurance amount $1,200, wife's primary insurance amount is $400. Okay, spouse benefit would be $200, right? But basically, the earnings would be $600. You're getting up to 50% of the primary insurance amount. Okay, if the primary insurance amount would be higher than 50% of the other spouse's primary insurance amount, there's not going to be a spousal benefit. You can't claim on that. Okay. Any question for that? All right. So claiming strategies have a lot of difference in whether or not you are claiming at or before full retirement age or at or after full retirement age. There's a whole world of strategies that open up if you can wait until full retirement age. And one of the things that recently developed is that the changes were made to try and close some of the loopholes that were around for claiming strategies before full retirement age. Okay, if you can wait until full retirement age, it is much better. It opens up, as I said, it opens up a whole range of possibilities. Okay. But when you claim before full retirement age, you're kind of stuck. You have to really choose what's going to be the best right then and there. You don't really have it. It's almost automatically chosen for you. You don't really have much flexibility. Okay. Any question there? If you can wait until full retirement age, you have flexibility. You can choose. If you choose before, you automatically put into the highest choice. There's been a lot of, you can find a lot of articles out there about file and suspend. That's gone away, okay? The Balanced Budget or Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015 eliminated file and suspend. Restricted application is one of the most common strategies now, okay? This is where you're collecting only spousal benefits while your own benefits accrue delayed retirement credits. Okay. This, as I mentioned, very common now, not as powerful as the file suspend, but that's no longer available. The idea is that it's going to be phasing out this strategy, this bipartisan budget act, but that's not really, hasn't really been set just as of yet as to when this will go out as well. So life expectancy has become a lot more critical determination as a result of this
Bipartisan Balance Budget Act of 2015. Okay. It's kind of pushed back that break-even point for most couples. So gauging life expectancy plays an even larger role in determining what strategy is going to be most suitable. Okay. And what was the best a couple years ago may not be the best now. All right. As I note here, shifting towards coordinating with goals-based planning is going to be the most critical step you can take, because you're going to start seeing that there are other decisions other than just making the most money from your claiming strategy that is going to play a part in your holistic planning for retirement. Okay. There were these three groups that really were created by the restricted application. Those born before 1950, okay, which at this point, you'd be at 70 and you'd be taking your Social Security anyway, so we're not really have to worry about that. Between 50 and January 1st, 1954, or born after January 1st, 1954, so January 2nd and beyond 1954. Is really the groups we're looking at right now. Okay. And what you can see here, under the old rules, the break-even point, okay, for claiming was a lot younger. All right. It's kind of been pushed out now, right? So more people are claiming early. I think the goal is to really get them to claim early, push this out, because it just made more sense for them to, for the government to do that. Why exactly? It's actuarial reasoning. I'm not really sure. Okay. So there's another strategy that people can take. This is called voluntarily suspend. All right. Voluntary suspension is where you start your benefits. You realize, you know what? I didn't need this. Instead of sending back every penny that you've received, saying, I want to change my mind, you could just say, you know what? I suspend my benefits. And then you can start claiming delayed retirement credits. All right. And then you can start it up again. Now, you're not going to get credits for the time that you started and then stopped, in that time frame. But you're going to get credits going forward. And then when you turn it on, you can get, the higher monthly payment. All right. So here's an example. Your primary insurance amount of $2,000. You started at age 62 because you just needed the cash. Okay. By age 66, maybe your financial situation is better, and you realize, you know what? I don't need to take this right now. I can actually wait a little bit longer. Maybe that'll help me by getting a higher payment. You can suspend it, okay, and resume it at a later date. Between 66 and age 70, you got 4 years, 48 months of delayed retirement credits. Okay. Now you can restart it. You're entitled to the benefits in suspension at any time. You can restart it whenever you want. Right. And if you say, you know what, it was a mistake for me to think that I made a mistake and claiming before, and you say, you know what, I suspended at age, in this example, suspended at age 66, and at age 60, you say, man, that wasn't a smart decision. I should have just kept going. You could say, all right, I want all the money that I forego when I suspended at age 66, now age 68, I want 2 years worth of payments. You can get that, but you won't get any delayed retirement credits. Okay, you can get a lump sum, but it's going to put you back at whatever the COLA adjusted amount was at age 66. So before I go into this final example here, I want to give a chance for anyone to ask questions. Anyone have any questions? I'll open up look at the chat box here. No, nothing right now. Okay, so let me jump into this final example here. So we had Bill and Sue earlier, right? They were the same age, and they had their, let's see if we can, and they had their primary insurance amounts that were different, and we saw that their cumulative benefits were about $696,000, right? So if we change the facts a little bit, we're going to see how things can be better for Bill and Sue, all right? In this situation, Bill has a primary insurance amount of $2,600, and he's born January 2nd, 1953. Full retirement age, 66. Life expectancy, 87. Sue has a primary insurance amount of $800, born January 3rd, 1954. I'm sorry, January 3rd, 1958. Full retirement age 66, 8 months. Life expectancy, 87, right? If they each begin their own benefit at a full retirement age, lifetime cumulative payments will equal about $850,400. Okay, but we're going to see that through a few simple steps, we can increase that amount and see what is the impact. Okay, so instead of just waiting till they reach their full retirement age and turning on their payments on their own record, we're going to do something a little bit different. So at age 62 and 1 month, Sue files for her own retirement benefit of $577 a month. Okay, so she's taking a reduced pay. Now this allows Bill to file a restricted application for spousal benefits of $400 a month. Okay. At 70, Bill switches to his retirement benefits, his full retirement benefits of $3,432 a month. Okay, so he's increased by 32% through the accumulation of delayed retirement benefits. Sue then has spousal benefits of $430 a month for total benefits of $1,007 a month. Okay. And if they both live to 87, the lifetime cumulative payout is $980,000, so roughly $130,000 more. So by doing having this strategy, you can see that is a pretty significant amount of money. So over 20 years, we're adding $130,000 more in income. So that's the power of having a strategy to help you increase the amount of money that you can get. So in summary, I just want to say, when you claim matters, there's a maximization strategy, but there's also an optimal strategy for it. Okay, the rules are complicated and they are voluminous, right? There's so many rules out there. And believe me, you can't call up the Social Security Administration and ask them for advice. One, they're not allowed to give it to you by law. Two, most agents probably are not going to know all of the rules, okay? And they're not going to have software there that's going to allow you to put in all of these factors and come up with a strategy that is tailored for your situation, okay? And quite frankly, they can oftentimes just get it wrong, right? I've had situations where calling into the 1-800, the call center, gets a different result than speaking with somebody in person. It was more than a year ago, so back when you could go into the Social Security office and speak to people face to face, a little bit easier than now. But you're going to get different opinions from Social Security agents, right? Their job is to process paperwork and to get things done. They're not, their job is not to be sitting there and helping you, shepherd you through the best decision. Okay, so can't rely on the Social Security Administration agents to help you make the best decision. That's why you want to coordinate your claiming strategy and your retirement planning, and really seek out the help of a professional to help you make the decision that's best for yourself. Okay, because once you beyond that 12 months. And I'll say it again, I really don't even know how much, practically speaking, you can make a decision to change your decision inside 12 months. But after the 12 months, there's absolutely no way to make a change. Okay. So you really got to get that strategy correct from the start. Any questions there? All right, so my firm, Financial Dogma, we can help because we have the software to help provide a personalized, tailored report for your situation that can help explain what could give you the maximized amount of benefits, but also look at, well, what might be the optimal strategy. Maybe not just the maximum amount of money you can get paid out. Okay. Comparing different strategies, looking at what's best for you. Okay. We're going to help you get answers, is the bottom line. So with that, I mean, really, I just want to say, next couple steps, if any of this interests you, very easy. We have a Social Security intake questionnaire. Easy to fill out, has some basic information, helps run the report. And then we offer a free 1-hour consultation to go, and we can do these virtually now, to go over that report and talk through what options you have for yourself. As you can see, there is my correct email address, financialdogma.com, Quirin@financialdogma.com. There is my phone number. So I want to say thank you very much for having me tonight, allowing me to bring to you some high-level information about Social Security and answer any questions. Mark, we can open it up for whoever would like to ask any questions, and I'm happy to hang around for as long as people would like. If they want to have any questions, talk to me through this.
Sure. Thank you, Ethan. Yeah, feel free, folks, to unmute yourselves, or we'll call it a night. All right. There's a thank you from Pete. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete, for being here, attending.
Okay. Guess you've got things covered there, Ethan.
All right, folks, for those of it that came, thank you very much. Again, I encourage you, if there's any questions you have, please reach out and be happy. I've had many people over the years, when I've done these presentations, reach out to me with a simple question. Always happy to answer it for you. And a lot of times they just had one question and they went on their merry way. So again, I'm here as an education, for educational purposes, to help you understand, what you have in front of you.
All right. Thanks so much, Ethan. And thanks
Mark.
everybody for logging in tonight too.
All right, I'll email you the presentation, Mark.
Sounds good.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
You too now. All right. Bye-bye now.